Hi, greetings, Tim.
Morning, Senator. Thanks for giving us a few minutes of your time this morning. I appreciate it.
You bet. Good to talk with you.
Thanks. Let's first talk about the coronavirus. I know that you have a resource page about the coronavirus on your Senate webpage, and it also talks about the actions you think the Congress and the White House should take. So what I'd like you to do is just share your thoughts about all of this that's going on.
Absolutely. We expect there to be a major funding bill passed before we leave here tomorrow, and that will involve all aspects of tackling this disease, supporting our local communities, our native tribes as well, our community health clinics, and supporting them in key ways of providing tests, providing work on vaccination, working on the supply chain for appropriate drugs, just tackling this every way we can to support Americans throughout this country.
So there's a lot of information that's been coming out. The CDC has a whole bunch of great information about it. But do you have any advice for people about the coronavirus? Are you personally concerned about it?
Yes, absolutely. This is a serious issue. Initially, the concept was quarantine. But what we now know is that the virus has been moving throughout the population. In many cases, people do not get seriously sick, but they pass it on. And then someone gets the virus for whom it does affect in a profound way. And of course, we've had 9 deaths in just a few days in Washington State. We have 3 individuals who have tested positive in Oregon, and more tests are underway for about another almost 20 Oregonians. So given that it is spreading from person to person, we need to take fundamental actions to slow that spread. That means if you're feeling sick, stay home. It means we're asking employers to make sure they pay your wages while you stay home, because we know folks otherwise can't afford to. It means that we encourage folks to wash their hands, to use the antiseptic fluid on their hands, to proceed to consider doing elbow bumps rather than shaking hands as we try to slow the spread of this disease.
I would love to see you do an elbow bump on the Senate floor, but that's another story. The employers, this is one of the topics that I've heard a number of things about, is employers, you said, should pay people's wages if they're quarantined. Is that a given? Will employers automatically do that, or is this something that you need to take action on?
It's actually, if people are feeling ill and have the symptoms related to this disease, they should stay home. And we're asking employers to pay their wages while they stay home. That doesn't mean they're in a formal quarantine. It means they're not going to work and potentially spreading the disease or spreading, if you will. They may have flu, or they may have something else that has similar symptoms. But at this point, it will be very helpful for people who are feeling ill to stay home. But we know they can't pay their rent or their mortgage or their utility bill if they're not paid. So we're encouraging employers, if their employees are sick and saying, I need to stay home, to pay their wages.
I know you have a couple of town halls coming up this weekend. What topics do you think are going to come up in the town halls?
Well, I certainly think we're going to be talking a lot about health care, and the coronavirus challenge certainly is on people's minds. By the way, I encourage people, they can attend my town hall by Facebook if you don't want to come in person, as people are starting to avoid coming in larger gatherings. And I know we'll be talking about things as fundamental as housing, as good paying jobs, the challenges we have of improving America's infrastructure and creating those good paying jobs.
I know we only have a minute or so left here. I need to talk a little politics with you. Last night, Super Tuesday, that was something else. It was a really big night for Joe Biden. Bernie didn't seem to do as well as expected. And I know that you endorsed Bernie Sanders in 2016, but as far as I know, you haven't endorsed anyone yet this time. Would you like to make any news right now?
Yeah, well, thank you for that opportunity, Tim. I'm not planning to endorse anyone at this time.
Okay. And how do you see this primary battle playing out? Is the primary battle, which apparently now looks like it's going to be Bernie and Biden, will it strengthen or harm the eventual nominee in the general election against Donald Trump?
Yeah, you know, I think it's been very productive to have a robust primary, lots of ideas being put forward by many candidates as we try to wrestle with the fact that America's not doing very well on the issues that affect the foundations for families to thrive, on healthcare, on housing, on education, on living wage jobs. We have vastly underinvested in those items. And we need to take that on. We need to take on the corruption in our institutions, the gerrymandering, the voter suppression, the dark money. And if we don't do that, we won't succeed on the other issues.
Do you feel good about the chances of defeating Donald Trump in November?
I'm quite confident that will be the outcome.
Great. Senator Merkley, thanks for giving us a few minutes of your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Tim. Take care now.
See you. Bye-bye.